Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. In case you're new here, my name is Maren
and I'm Maureen. So today we're going to be reacting to a video of Shanti Dixon, who decided to order an Uber because she was getting off from work late at 3 a.m.
Right. The problem is Shanti Dixon never made it home. Let's just say she was found unalived, and the person arrested for this crime decided to blame an imaginary black man. Should we say this is because in the olden days, this is what they used to get away with? So the most creative thing this person could tell the police was that a black man is the one who attacked them and unalived the lady.
Yeah, so before we do anything or say anything much, let's watch this video to get more information, and then we come back and talk about it.
Uber driver killed a black woman, has now been arrested, tried to blame it on a mysterious fictional black person. This is a very sad story. Put up the picture full mass. I'm taking you to Indiana. An Indiana Uber driver accused of sexual violating, and killing his female passenger has been arrested. And there's more. The person, her name was Shanti Dixon. He told police an armed black male shot and killed her. That's what he said. Francisco Valadez was arrested in September 10th, and charged with murder. On September 8th, Dixon called an Uber to take her home after a shift, which was about 3:30 a.m. She never returned, and her concerned family tracked her phone to the woods behind her residence, where they made the horrifying discovery of what happened. According to court documents, Miss Dixon had been dumped naked and was lying on her stomach. First responders pronounced her dead at the scene, and it was later discovered that she had been shot in the head. Dixon's cell phones proved invaluable again as they provided the first clues about a suspect for detectives. That night, she carried 2 phones with her. They were both found near her body. Luckily, her mother knew the passcodes, and authorities were able to review her last messages, which led them to the Uber driver. The 2 reportedly made one stop in his BMW before arriving at her home. Detectives located the address of the Uber driver and quickly caught up with him. During questioning, he fabricated an elaborate story about a black man and an armed robbery gone wrong, telling police an assailant came up with his car and decided to open fire. After police reportedly questioned his mother and seized evidence from his BMW, including the possible murder weapon, the suspect was brought to the station for further interrogation, where he continued to push the story of a black person along with another story. But he eventually cracked and confessed to the crime, police said. He allegedly admitted to violating Miss Dixon in the back of his car and becoming so enraged when she insulted his body that he pulled out his gun and shot her in the head. Police say he then dragged her out of his car and behind a barrier at the end of her dead-end street, where he had sex with her lifeless body. Thanks to the family's efforts to track down the cell phones and the detective work by police, the suspect is now in custody on felony murder, with more charges likely to come from the Marion County Prosecutor's Office. This is so sad.
So guys, welcome back. Let us know what you think about this episode. To be quite honest, this is quite a sad case. To even think that this man had the audacity to use an app to commit a crime.
Right, and you know, the thing that I find most interesting about the guy is when he decided to blame what he had done on an imaginary black guy, in his mind thinking that when he blames a black guy, he'll be able to get away scot-free and unpunished for what he had done to the black woman. And you know, these are the very same kind of people who used to use this very same defense back in the days. And back in the days, as you all know very well, they would really get away with this because the systems back in the days would could not investigate any further. All they needed to do was point to a certain black person, and that would be the person who had committed the crime.
Right, guys, can we talk about how evil a person has to be? Because despite doing what he did to her, he also went further to disrespect her dead body. Another important detail that I feel like helped solve this case was that when Shanti's mom knew the passcodes to her phone, and I feel like this is very, very important. You know, this just made something click in my brain, and I was like, personally, I do have a cell phone that has a password. The question is, how many people have cell phones that are password protected that another person can get access to? For example, let's talk about spouses or your mother, your parents. You know, how many people like her do have? And for those ones who don't have, does it mean that the case goes cold? Because this guy was only caught because the police had access to Shanti's phone.
Yeah, and also I think a big role of what helped Shanti get justice was she was close to her family. And this is where people usually ask, what if she was a loner? That is how the case could have gone cold. And I really have to give props to her family, because they were close to her and they knew every movement she made. If she came home late, they knew she had to check in with them when she got home safe, and they alerted the police and the authorities when that day she didn't check in with all of them. And also I think yes, the system is still bad and needs a lot of work to do, but I feel like to some extent, for them having to apprehend and lock up this guy, I think we can give you know, thanks to how far the justice system has come since then.
Right. My question is, how many times has Valdez done this and got away with it? Because, you know, for me, if I'm getting late and it's really, I'm feeling unsafe, like the natural thing to do would be, instead of taking a normal taxi, I would order Uber, you know, just because it's an app that has the driver's details, so I would feel safe, like this person would take me home safely. But for Valdez, he had the audacity to accept a ride, go pick up somebody, and then commit this crime. Does it mean that he had done this in the past and gotten away with it? Because he knew his details were readily available on the app, yet he still committed the act. So my question is, he ended up unaliving his victim. What of the victim that went on to live? Because the reason why he was triggered to unalive her was because the lady tried to fight, and even you know, I understand, made fun of how he looked, so that one triggered him, and he ended up unaliving her. So for those ones who like don't put up much of a fight, you know, they don't look like a threat, they look like easy victims for him, so he goes on, does what he wants to them, and then releases them to go back home. Do they even have the confidence to go to the police, knowing that a lot of people mistrust the law enforcement? Do they have the courage to even go and report him? Probably he has gotten away with many more cases, you know, but it's quite unfortunate that this one had to cost the life of somebody for him to get arrested. But my question is, out of all the demography in America, right, for him to have committed this heinous crime and
pinned it on a black person, I feel like that was especially heinous of him.
Right. I remember seeing on TikTok, people were talking about when pale people commit crimes and then go on and, you know, try and pin it on a black person, right? So there was a video, we saw a similar video on TikTok, where on the comment section a lot of people were coming out with their experiences of similar situations. And I remember distinctively a black man who was saying when he was in campus, yeah, and there was this lady who was being attacked. It was very late, she was being attacked. So when he went to help the woman, the guy ran off into the night, right? So when the police came, he stayed with the woman. Of course, she was palm colored, and he stayed with her until the police and the ambulance got there. But the funny thing is that when the police got there, he immediately became the suspect, all right? Despite this woman knowing that he didn't commit that act. When he saw that the waves were about to turn on him, he just got himself out of that situation and left. Later on, on, he came to discover that it was the woman's ex-husband who was attacking her, and that man was pale,
pretty much pale colored.
right? So you ask yourself, how many people of color have ended up in prison because of these situations? Because we do see situations where you find racist cops in law enforcement who would not care to investigate further. If they're told that it was a black man, that for them that is case closed. It was a black man who did that, you know.
Anyway, guys, let us know what you think about this episode, and also consider subscribing if you're new to our channel, and we'll see you on our next episode.